SoFi stock takes a little bit of a dip to end the week. Now the question is, do we buy it? It's kind of where we buy it, which will attack exactly that. And then we'll take a deeper dive as to why I believe the market's not even pricing in the most important thing. And I'm going to tell you right now, the most important thing with SoFi is this right here. I don't care what anyone tells you, okay? You might not be able to see it. It might be cutting off a little bit. But SoFi Bank becomes the first and the only, not just the first, but the only nationally chartered bank to launch crypto trading for consumers. We're going to break down, and I've covered this in a previous video, but I haven't covered it specifically going into the numbers, a deep dive into all this and how this is going to, in my opinion, scale SoFi and ultimately what this did with a company like Robinhood, which again, I make a lot of comparisons to, but I do believe SoFi is working to become the more professional version of Robinhood, right? I think Robinhood's become this degenerate platform. It's making a lot of money. I think it's a good company, but I don't think this is appealing to long-term investors and people that really want to put their money somewhere and feel safe about it, feel good about it. And I think SoFi is taking that place in my personal opinion. We're going to go all into that, a deep dive. Again, like, subscribe, do what you got to do. If you're not subscribed to the channel, let's get to work. Now, the only advertisement that we're going to have the entire video, you can skip past this. But again, before we go too far, if you want to see what we're doing, how we're trading every single day, the Discord link is down below. We do recaps, we do education, we do everything in between. You have our trade ideas, our technicals for all of our scalps intraday. Everything is there for you. Our trade ideas, as I mentioned there, for swing trades, and then as well as our futures breakdowns every single day. It is all there, the profits, etc. Do what you got to do. The link is down below. Whatever. Okay, I don't want to spend too much time there. Now, going into this, what are the most important things? Now, again, I want to do a deep dive into a little bit what's happening as far as the numbers are concerned. I will go over this in a second, but I want to make a few things clear. Okay, we've covered, some of this stuff might be a little bit of repetition of what we said in some of the other videos, but I think it all builds on each other, so I want to make sure I repeat some of the facts, okay? So it's really important to understand what are the critical things for SoFi to continue moving on the uptrend, okay? Now, before we even jump to that, I want to highlight for people saying, oh, well, Tyler, SoFi's dipping today. SoFi, is it really is it really a good stock, Tyler? Do you really like it? Yes, I like SoFi a lot. I mean, look at what the S&P 500 did over the past few days. You had a pretty nasty dip, almost a $20 dip on SPY from 685 down to 665, 663, over a $20 drop. Not ideal, but SoFi really did hold its own, right? I mean, overall, you dropped around $5 into lows, but still holding up near these all-time highs. When we look at our levels, you haven't even hit our buy zones yet, once again. But again, important to mention, important to understand why and what I'm looking at, right? So that's the focal point. So people we all bent out of shape. We freak out about dips. Dips you want to buy stocks when they're cheaper in the first place. I don't like to buy stocks that are just going straight up. It's not giving me an opportunity, okay? Very important to understand that. So when we dive into this, I want to focus more on what's happening as far as the revenue and what's happening from the side of what's happening from crypto, because I think that's a very influential part. And this is all actually going to be based off of Robinhood's data. This is not going to be based off of SoFi's earnings. So very important. And I'm going to show why this comes back to SoFi and why it is so key. Now, what I want to do really quick is I just want to go look at Robinhood's chart. Again, I don't want to say they're the most comparable company. I'm not going to say that, but I think what SoFi is trying to do is mimic some of the successful things from Robinhood, but with their own little twist, okay? And so when we look at Robinhood, I think the most important thing is to zoom out and take a step back, okay? And when you look at what Robinhood's done, obviously they IPO'd back here in 2021. What a time to be alive. You dipped down and you basically sat in this range on Robinhood for like 2 to 3 years, right? From basically 2022, January 2022, all the way until February 2024, right? Crazy. You eventually broke out. We kind of went up, came back down, but ultimately you never looked back once you broke out of this range and you went crazy. Now, if we go look at SoFi, and again, I'm going to come back to this, but if you go look at SoFi, very, very similar chart in my personal opinion. But where SoFi really went insane, where SoFi really went crazy was where Robinhood did that was when you broke previous all-time highs. We'll go down in a sec, but you can still see very similar. I would argue this looks a little bit better, but again, worth mentioning. Okay, so going back into Hood, you can see this type of action, how you went crazy. Once you broke above, obviously, the 85 region, you literally doubled up within the next 2 to 3 months, which was just absurd, but what happened, okay? So very important to understand that as a whole. But where things really, really got crazy is when you look at what happened with crypto, because if you look at their revenues, they're very similar. Now, I will say Robinhood's probably more profitable, I would assume, than SoFi. As far as the numbers are concerned, yeah, they are 100%. So again, worth mentioning. But when you look at these earnings down here, and again, I'm gonna try to do this as quickly as possible. I'm not gonna try to like lag along and drag on the video. But you go back to this is 2024 in August. They did around 700 million. Same about 640, 1 billion. That was their big earnings. 9.2, 980. 1.2. So they're staying in that 1 billion range, right? That's just where they're kind of flatlining right now. I would assume Robinhood dips down to get a bit of an opportunity. And that would just make the most sense since growth has kind of stalled there. Okay, worth mentioning, worth going over. Okay, but look at SoFi's, and this is where things get interesting, right? As you go back to that same time in August, they were doing 500, very similar numbers to Robinhood, but they just weren't scaling that growth just yet. So 700 million by this time right here. Robinhood was already at $1 billion, and SoFi came out at 739. But the one thing you can see is it's been consistent with SoFi, the growth as far as revenue, very consistent. Even if it's slight, it's still overall growth. And then right now they're at 950, very close to that $1 billion marker. Okay, and again, it's been just steady the upside, whereas Robinhood has kind of slowed down, right? I'm not saying Robinhood's going to slow down and get trashed and get destroyed. I'm just saying, again, like I've said in previous videos, SoFi is a really nice, boring company to own. It's a great, I love when you want to own companies in the portfolio to not think about to invest in. I think SoFi quantifies everything that you look for. It's boring, consistently makes money, growing, getting into big areas of expansion, and they're doing really well. Now, this is the kicker with SoFi, is they are doing these numbers without crypto. Very, very important. Now, again, it's important to understand SoFi doesn't just operate in the trading side of things. They have their loans, their refinancing, student loans, mortgages. They're a bank as well. So it's very important to understand that. But SoFi is showing pretty decent growth. Now, when we get into the second part of this video and we go into exactly that growth that happened with crypto on Robinhood, I think it'll start raising some eyebrows, raising some questions. Because again, you have to understand where Robinhood started going crazy, which was really back here, 2024, August, etc. right? Really, really important. Now, look at what happens here. Again, I'm not making up the numbers. You go look at the numbers for yourself. So this is 2025, and the chart will show 2023 through 2025. But 2025 was the breakout year really for Robinhood as far as maybe middle of 2024 into 2025. But yeah, okay. So crypto income quarter by quarter Q for 2025. Total net revenues for Robinhood was 927 on the year, up 50% year over year from crypto trading. Transaction-based revenues, 583 million, up 77% over year. Crypto transaction revenue, 252 million, 100% year over year revenue. Crypto represented 43% of all transaction-based revenue in Q1, right? So you're seeing that crypto is such a major part of Robinhood. And you wouldn't really think it, because again, Robinhood's done a really good job of bringing in longer term investments, bringing over retirement accounts, and bringing in a lot of money to their platforms with their gold card, etc. They've done a really good job. I'm not discounting, I'm not hating on Robinhood. I think it's a good company. If you guys follow the channel, you guys know in 2024, 2023, I was a huge fan of Robinhood. But now, like, it's just done what it's done, and now it's like, well, what's the next play, right? And so that's really important to understand. And if you look here, as far as, really, like, crypto transactions in 2025 did $160 million, 98% year over year growth. Equities, meaning just stock, was 66 million. That's almost a 3x of their equities transactions, right? Really important to understand. Now, is crypto a fad? Is it going to get the same momentum into next year? Who knows? But year over year, you're going to notice that Robinhood's crypto side has grown. It's been one of the most consistent parts of the business that's grown, which is kind of insane, right? So crypto is cool from their Q4 to Q1 record levels, which is important to understand. That's when crypto was going crazy, when Trump was just winning the election in last November. Very important to understand that, right? So volumes eased, but year over year growth has still basically doubled. Transaction-based revenue, 730 million, 130% year over year. Crypto transaction revenue, 270 million, up 300%. So this is their over, do we see the difference in what's happening? Their stocks, their options, etc., everything's up pretty nice. But their crypto it's doubling. It's double the growth of the other parts of the business. And it's crazy when you look at Robinhood, I don't think crypto. Like if I hear about Coinbase, I think crypto. I don't think crypto first thing when I look at Robinhood. But that's really been the winning part of the business. And I personally believe the reason why Robinhood got into the prediction markets is because they're trying to like offset the risk, in my personal opinion, of if you get a down year on crypto. We've seen what happens when crypto goes down. You see a lot less transactions, a lot less trading. Makes total sense, right? Less people are buying it because there's not a lot of FOMO. Social media is not talking about it, etc. So they want to diversify just in case they can, pop that revenue back up. So again, we'll go into that a little bit more later, but important to understand that. So going into crypto, re-accelerating in Q2 dip with another year-over-year comparison. Crypto transaction revenue in quarter number 1, 252, quarter 2, 160, quarter 3, 270. It's important to remember Q2, this is a great representation of when momentum dips. In Q1, we were looking really good, obviously, of 2025. Q2, that's when we had all the tariffs just dragging us down. Market slowed down. Obviously, revenue slowed down there. Picked right back up when crypto started making new all-time highs, and it'll probably be high once again for Q4, worth mentioning. So again, 2025, Q13, 680, already higher than the full year of 2024, as you can see there. So you've already just consumed your revenue. And this is all just Rob. This is not even SoFi yet. So this is just bringing up comparable numbers. Now, the one area that where SoFi won't be able to compete yet is because SoFi isn't getting into the meme game. They're not getting into like buying, poop coin and dog shit coin and lose your money all in one day coin, right? They're not doing that. They're going the professional way. Like, let's let them buy Ethereum. Let's let them buy Bitcoin. They'll probably bring in Solana if they haven't already, which will come out later. I think end of this month when crypto really drops on the platform. Okay, XRP, etc. Those are what I think they're going to focus on. That's the smart move of SoFi, in my personal opinion. Right now, this is the part that's going to really show you. This is the revenue growth, and I posted this on Twitter. If you follow, I post this on Twitter. You can go check it out. Again, the Twitter link's down below. You can go check it out for yourself, all the updates, everything like that. I post all the charts, etc. But again, very important to understand that. But this is how you grew. In 2023, when it dropped, they did around 130 million, as you can see there. 2024, like 630, right? 2025, the first 3 quarters, that hasn't included the last quarter, I would assume they get close to $1 billion total, probably like around 900 million, but you can see you're already at 680 in 3 quarters. This is what's happened. Now, again, it's very important to understand, right? It's very, 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 very important to understand, okay? Take a step back and go look at Robinhood's year-over-year earnings so far, okay? So they did 900 million here. Well, it's quick math. 980 here, so we'll say that's a grand total of $1.9 billion, and then another billion here. So they did around $3 billion, okay? So they did around $3 billion in total revenue. As of right now, around $700 million of that revenue is all from crypto. So almost a third, a little under a third, let's say 28%. 28% of all their revenue is coming from crypto, which in my opinion is absurd. Like, that's crazy to think about. Like, imagine the hit Robinhood takes if they didn't have crypto, which again, very important to understand. And again, you look at SoFi and go look at their revenue. They're doing similar number, not the same. Okay, they're rising, and again, very consistent. So now they're there, right? I would say this year they're probably at like 950 plus 850. What is that? Like 1.8 roughly. 1.8 plus so 2.5. So they're at 2.5 million versus Robinhood's 3.2 million, give or take. Again, very, very similar numbers, very good numbers, but they're doing it without crypto. Now, am I saying that SoFi is going to bring in the crypto revenue as Robinhood? I don't think so. They don't have the marketing. They don't spend that much on marketing as much as Robinhood. However, it's still something to think about. And again, this, in my opinion, is the big catalyst for SoFi in the near term. Like, and again, it's interesting that we're not seeing many people focus on this, because we've already, this right here should be your like trial and error, like your test thesis on like, okay, will this bring revenue in for SoFi? Should this be something to really focus on with the next earnings, outlook, etc. Right? Now, the next part to understand is, number one, Robinhood, the reason why this does so well is because user growth, member growth, etc. And they did a phenomenal job in 2024 to 2025 by incentivizing switching over your IRA, getting you matches, things along those lines, right? Now, this is where things got more interesting, is when you go look at what SoFi has done. When you look at their most recent earnings, and I've covered this a lot, and this is why I think you have to talk about this the most, is SoFi added a record 905,000 members in the third quarter of 2025, bringing total members to over 12.6 million, up 35% from 9.4 million at the end of the same prior period. That is insane. Again, SoFi is not spending they don't have the marketing as Robinhood. Like, Robinhood, you have to think about it. Social media, they get free marketing from social media creators like me that use the platform because it's easy to resonate with you, right? Because you see the platform, like, oh, it's Robinhood stocks. Let me watch the video, right? So again, it's important to understand that that's what's happening. So SoFi is bringing in the members. They're bringing in the users. In the previous video, we talked about their survey that they did regarding, would you rather trade on a random broker that isn't a bank, or would you rather trade your crypto on a bank? Would you feel safer? And we saw those statistics, we saw those rankings as well. And so again, this is why, again, the video is already going a little too long, but this is why this has to be the focal point right now. I don't think there's another conversation to really have here. Like, it's clear as day for me that SoFi being the only, and I have to assume other banks will, fall in line and do this as well. But I don't know why we're not talking about this. This should be the focal point. Okay. So as you're going into your next earnings, as you're going into your next meetings, as you're seeing your next, data releases, I would be really watching, because I think the platform releases on, like, I can tell you right now, I know they're doing the member stuff all right now. I'm pretty sure it's like November 20th. It's in the range of Thanksgiving break. I released it in one of the videos. I don't have the exact date on me right now. I didn't add it to the video, so I don't want to go scrolling for it. But it's important to understand that. Now, as far as the chart is concerned, and I know this is what people are always saying, well, what do I buy? What do I do? Oh my God, Tyler, I don't know what to do. I'm a grown man. I need someone to tell me what to do with my money because I'm just not responsible and I need to get rich quick tomorrow. And again, maybe that's you. I don't know. I don't think SoFi is going to make you rich tomorrow. I want to make that extremely like clear. I don't think SoFi is going to make you rich next month, 6 months, whatever, right? I think it's a really good, just long-term stock to own, right? Very good. Like, if we go back to the the banking crisis we had like almost 2 years ago, when all the, the regional banks were getting hit, like what we were talking about was like, guys, Schwab was a money play back then, right? It was a money play. And you go, look, people are like, well, is Schwab going to go, like, is it going to triple? I'm like, probably not, but I think it's a really great buy down at $50, and it just gradually went up. And again, it did really well for you. That's the same kind of mentality that I'm looking for as well, right? So again, going into SoFi, your buy zones for myself have been the same. Nothing really changes. I'd be looking at $24.75 to $25 roughly down here. You get close to that range, you can do whatever you want. But again, I know someone in Discord was loading up at like $26. So again, worth mentioning. I still think it's a great name. Then your next major support's down at $20. Am I saying those are going to hit? No, I'm not. You're not promised to get your nice dip opportunities. That's why buying at $13, $16 was so awesome. But again, important to understand that. So very, very, very important. And that's just where we're at right now. And again, if you start holding that 30.3, I do think it presents the opportunity for options to trade to the upside. I would just be very careful on what you're doing with that as well. Someone in Discord made an absurd amount of money going on options when he had the all-time high push right here, all for like a 10% move on SoFi, which is crazy, but still was insane. But again, what I'm looking at, how I'm looking at, am I saying that, that SoFi is going to run to $100 this year? I'm not saying that, but I do think it's very important to understand the amount of revenue that crypto specifically can bring to the table. We've already seen what they've done on the other side with these other companies, and I don't think SoFi is doing it in a degenerate way. They're not promoting gambling. They're not promoting full sending options. They're not promoting some of these sketchy tactics. I think some of the other platforms are, right, or more known for. That's really important to understand. So again, my stance on SoFi, where I'm at right now. Let me know your thoughts down below. See you in the next video. Have a good one, traders.